Hi CDC families and artists. Today is the first day we're going to do a project at home art with Mrs. jwissa. So I wanted to tell you all about an artist. His name is Henri Matisse. Henri Matisse, he made art a long time ago, way before even your grandparents were born. And Henri Matisse lived in France and he loved to paint. He was a painter. He painted and he got really famous. But as Mr. Matisse got older, he really couldn't stand and paint for very long. So he did something that was really innovative at the time, meaning that no other artist had done this before. And he created what's called drawing with scissors. So this book here is about Henri Matisse and drawing with scissors. As you can see here, this is something that he did, this collage with cutting out images or shapes and gluing it onto the paper and making an image from the cutout paper. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to cut out paper like Mr. Matisse and make some images on a paper to make a nice collage. So I wanted to show you this is something that Mr. Matisse did. So as you can see, he cut out different shapes here and then he glued them onto the paper. And what Mr. Matisse did is he would put the cut out pieces of paper on a paper before he would glue it down, and he would look at it and he would move the pieces until he got them just right, so until he got them to look the way he wanted it to look. So it took him a little bit of time, but this was his passion in his later years of life, and these cutouts became really famous because no one was doing the cutouts. Here's a picture of Mr. Matisse cutting out while he was sitting down some of his images. And this one is a really famous image that Mr. Matisse made. So he cut out all of these pieces here from paper and he glued them on here. Now when you look at that, what does it make you think of? When I look at that, it kind of makes me feel like underwater, maybe the kelp or the seaweed moving in the water. That's my imagination. What is in your imagination what this makes you think of? This is why I love Mr. Matisse's art, because you can look at it and have different, think of different things, and everyone will have the same what they think of. So Mr. Matisse, what he would do is he would get a piece of paper and he would paint on the paper. So he would make the paper a different color. So I'm going to give you today different ways of painting on the paper so you guys can do this at home to make your own creations. So for this one, what I did is I took my paintbrush and I used some of this liquid watercolor paint, but you don't have to use the liquid watercolor paint. I happen to have this at home, so I used it, but if you had just regular paint or watercolor paint, the little watercolor palette, you can use that too. You can use whatever you have around. So you can use that. I just painted this on I just did different angles and how I painted on each paper. So this one I just did up and down strokes. And this one I really love, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well, but what I did with this one is first, before I started painting, I sprinkled some sea salt on here, and then on the paper, and then I took the watercolor paper and a paintbrush and I painted on the top. Then I let it dry really well, and once it was dried, I brushed off the salt and it leaves some great texture on here. So I highly recommend this if you have it. It's pretty easy and it's really fun to make textured paper. And this one is a great textured art that you can do, and you can have a lot of fun with this. So what I did is I went around my house and I picked up some objects that I had been saving. So as you can see, I made this board. Cardboard's great because you can use this and reuse it, and it's a great tool to put down on your table so you don't get the paint everywhere. So I just glued some things I found around the house. So a lot of I saved these plastic things from vegetables, and I have some old beads. It might be hard to see on here what I have. I have a wood from a branch, and I have a little piece of packing material here. So I glued everything down, and then with a paintbrush and some paint, I just painted on it. And then I put the paper right on top, and I just pressed down to make a really great textured image. This is a really fun one. I highly recommend doing this one. Very easy. You can do a lot of different things with this. And this one is really, really fun. I did with a coffee filter. I colored it with some marker, just any way. I just randomly put the marker colors on the water coffee filter, and then I sprinkled some water on it. If you have a little spray bottle, you can spray some water, but I just sprinkled some water on it, and once it's saturated, I laid it down on the paper, and it transfers the marker onto the paper, and then you get really great images from that. So then, once you have your paper, it's all dried, then you can start cutting, making your shapes, any shape that you feel, any shape that you want to do. Maybe you want to do a circle or a square or a triangle, or maybe just different types of shapes. Maybe with your scissors, just go around and make different shapes. And then once you're done making all your shapes, lay it out on paper. Lay it out on paper. What I did here is, let me show you. I took 4 pieces of paper and I glued them together. So then I had, in essence, a big canvas. So then you can make a really big piece of art for your house. And you can display it, put it up in your room. Once you have your images, you lay it down and you can rearrange them. Look at it and think, is this what I want it to look like? Is this the way I want it to look like? And once you have it all mapped out here, you have it laid down exactly the way you want it, then with a glue stick you just glue it down on here, and then you can have this wonderful piece of artwork like Henri Matisse. All right, artists, I challenge you with this today, and I would love, love, love to see pictures of your artists making their artwork and their finished products. So please email me your pictures. I'll put my email down below, and I'll put them on our private Instagram page. Okay, artists, have fun today.